Joy, joy, joy is a whole thing. Let me tell you right now. Joy is a whole thing. I'm not talking about exuberance. I'm not talking about at a baseball game, football game, hockey game, soccer, whatever the case may be, and you're clapping and applauding and you're on your feet and you're shouting for your team. That's joy. But the joy I'm talking about this morning is a whole thing. It's a whole thing. And so I want to share with you that. But before I do that, I just want to greet some people on this morning. What a wonderful morning it is. Hope you had a great holiday Monday, Memorial Day on yesterday. I certainly did. Grilled and ate and chilled and watched the game and doing those kinds of things. Every now and then it's just good to do some relaxing things. Let's greet some people and get right into the word on this morning. Brother Nesbitt, how are you? Verena, how are you? Deacon Jordan, how are you? Minister Sent, how are you? Homegirl Dolores, how are you? Wayne, how are you doing on this morning? Dawn, how are you? Lydia, how are you on this morning? Vaughn, how you doing this morning? Coach Dagny, how are you all on this morning? Got a word for you on this morning, Lena and Elder Jan and Pamela. Got a word for you on this morning. Joy is a whole thing. Now, I'm not talking just about applause. I'm not talking about a giddiness. I'm not talking about all of those things, though they are appropriate and in the right place at the right time. This morning, talking about joy is a whole thing from a biblical perspective, looking at it through the lens of the text. I'll give you the text in a minute. Greet some more folk and then get into the word on this morning. Orrery, how are you on this morning? Pastor Richard, how are you on this morning? Angela, how are you on this morning? Pastor Leah, how are you doing on this morning? This morning's the text to talk to take away 5 minutes or less. You already know what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to share it right now. Share it right now. And then let me get right into the word on this morning. Joy is a whole thing. Joy is a whole thing. Here's the text. Nehemiah 8 and 10. For the joy of the Lord is my strength. You've heard it so many times. I want you to hear it again for the very first time. And let's put this in context. Here it is, Ezra, Nehemiah. They have now returned back to the land. They've returned back to their homeland. They've been in exile. And as a result of that, now they've come back. What is the joy that they feel? Well, what is the joy that's going on? First of all, you got to look at why were they in exile? They were in exile for rebellion. They were in exile because of their sin. They were in exile because of all of the things that they were not doing that the Lord wanted them to do. So he permitted them to be taken in captivity and placed in exile. When they come back to the land, they see the walls down and there is no temple. All of that is just in disarray. You may ask, well, what is the joy that they find? Here it is. The first thing is the joy they find is because they are now connected. They are connected. They had been disconnected because of their sin. There was a separation between them and God because of what they had been. They were in a whole different land because of their sinful behavior. God now permits them to come back. The King Darius permits them to come back. They are now doing these pieces to put their lives back together. They feel connected to God. I don't know about you, but when you're going through, there is a sense, whether it is by sin or by someone else's action, by just the circumstances and situation that you're dealing with, that there is a sense of, Lord, I'm not connected to you. But when you feel connected, there is a joy on the inside that bubbles up. The second thing, they feel protected. They feel protected. That's the joy, the whole thing that they are sensing, that they feel protected. Why is it that they feel protected? Because they're back in their homeland. They feel protected because they're connected to God. It is just like when you have traveled and you come back home, there is a certain sense of, wow, I feel secure. I feel secure. I'm in familiar environment. I'm in a familiar surroundings. Their surroundings had been so structured by God. They are now connected to God. They feel protected by God. And here it is, there is a projection. They project it now. There is a projection into what God is about to do. What are you talking about, Bishop? They have now been permitted to rebuild the walls, which provides protection in a physical way as well as spiritual. And they have been now permitted to rebuild the temple. These are artifacts, these are physical structures that give them a sense of being projected into the future, being projected into the future with their walk with the Lord. So it is with you and I. When we feel like, God, you're with me, then my future is protected. I am projected into a positive situation. I'm going to make it because I'm connected. Now, what does all of that mean? That joy is a whole thing. This is what it means for your takeaway. Joy is knowing not only who you are, but whose you are. That's the joy. That's what he's talking about. I'm not necessarily talking about running around the church. I'm not talking about a giddy thing. I'm simply talking about this. I know who I am, but I also know whose I am. Who do I belong to? And that's why they had the joy of the Lord was their strength and a whole thing. Well, if this bless you, bless somebody else. Don't keep it to yourself. No matter what you're dealing with, know that the joy of the Lord is your strength. Share it. God bless you.